Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Israel Connection. I'm Esti Zenati, and my guest today is Benjamin Kreshtool, or as we call him, Ben Kreshtool.
Only Yvonne calls me Benjamin.
And your parents are, I don't know.
No, you know
maybe?
what? Even when I was in trouble, I don't think anybody called me Benjamin.
Really?
Yeah. I signed all letters and everything. I signed my full name. My business card has my Benjamin on it, but only Yvonne calls me Benjamin.
Okay. Well, Yvonne calls you Benjamin. We call you Ben, and he is our guest today and not a co-host for the first time. So thank you for joining me as a guest.
Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yes, and for those who don't know, Ben is the regional director at Bethel and has been so since 2014, coming on 12 years.
Yeah.
Crazy. And he is also a big Zionist.
It's true.
And a lover of all things Israel.
That's true, too.
Yes, so that's why he's here today. So, let's go back to little Ben.
Yeah.
When was the first time that you learned about Israel, and what was your initial reaction?
So that's a really good question. So I grew up in Jewish school.
Mm-hmm.
So from my earliest days in preschool, we were learning Hebrew and we learned all about Israel. And I remember sort of being fascinated back then, even by this land that we had talked about all the time.
Yeah.
That, they would talk about it as our home. So, we had, of course, Israeli teachers in school. And so I feel like I was always sort of connected to it in some way. I mean, also by product of the fact that, we're Jews. But,
to some people, I don't know.
Well, fair point. But, early on in school, I just remember from those earliest days, learning Hebrew, alphabet alongside ABC.
Mm-hmm.
And, all of the things that they would teach us about it. Just from the earliest days of school, it was just something that was always there.
Was your family always Zionist?
Oh, yeah, I think so for sure, to my grandparents in particular, on both sides. But my grandmother on my mom's side was a Holocaust survivor, was a huge Zionist. She was really, they were all lovers of Israel. And so it was just, I think, by happen chance that she didn't end up there her cousin did, our family after the war made Aliyah to Israel. So, yeah, we've had a family connection also for, a long time.
When's the first time that you got to visit?
So I think the first time that I visited Israel was right after my bar mitzvah in 99, maybe. So my bar mitzvah was in 98, and I think we went the following year, which was December of 98. So I think we went that summer in 99. Maybe, yeah, I think that's what it was.
Okay.
The first time. And then I went again the following year with my 8th grade class. I think the first time we must have been 99.
What was your reaction, just landing there, visiting
God.
all the places?
I was so excited. So I think I also remember that the synagogue was hosting a family trip. And we were initially supposed to go on it the year before. But the logistics didn't work out. It didn't happen. I remember being so disappointed. And then I remember when we did go, the following year, everything worked out. I just remember being so excited about it. And so landing in Israel in 1999, the airport was a little different back then. There was there was no sharvul. There wasn't a.
No, it was so small back then.
It was. I remember it was 2 buildings, right? 2 small buildings.
It was very small, yeah.
And there was no. Jetway,
right? Yeah,
right. So you landed and you walked off the plane onto the tarmac, and then it was a little better. You didn't have to walk all the way to this building. A little tram came and picked you up and took you there.
Oh my God!
But I remember this was back in the day. I was so excited because I remember the rabbi had told me it's when you land in Israel, make sure you have to kiss the ground when you get there. I was like, oh, okay.
You did?
And I did. I remember. And then I remember later on. I think when I went back. When I was there for senior year and the jetway had come back and you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as exciting, but I remember them telling me to do that, and I remember I did it, and I remember just being so excited to be in Israel for the first time. It was electrifying.
Yeah. What was your reaction being at the Kotel for the first time? Because that's a whole
that really
experience.
Was electrifying for me. I remember, and the Kotel in particular is something that I think. Even if you've never been to Israel, we see pictures of it all the time, right? It's something in school we saw all the time. I remember they would bring the 8th grade class to talk to us that they had gone on their trip, and they would tell us about it when we were younger, something to look forward to when you would be in 8th grade. And always the pictures of the Kotel, and you would see it constantly. We talked about it all the time. so it has sort of this like mythical status in your head, and you sort of have like ideas about what it would be like. And I remember going to Jerusalem and ending up in the old city and seeing the Kotel for the first time. And I remember thinking how much bigger it was in person than, in my mind. Because, you see the pictures, it doesn't look so big. But like spiritually also, it was like a sort of defining moment. And so when you touch the Kotel for the first time, it really was electrifying. Like it was...
How did it impact you forward in your life? Because you've been to Israel many times after.
Yeah. So I think, just... after that first time sort of just cemented the love that I think I always had for Israel, and just sort of like cemented it and made it like, this is a part of who I am, and this is a part of the fabric of my identity as a Jewish person, and just as me, like this is an essential part of that, an essential part of me. And so, ever since then, my love has never diminished for Israel, and always making sure to, keep up with what's going on, and, with friends and everything like that, and just making sure it's a part of my daily life.
Do you ever consider making Aliyah?
I think about it all the time. I think it'll be like a nice retirement career for me to like move and be like a tour guide. I think it'd be really good at that.
That would be great for
right?
you.
I think it would be great for me. I'd be good at it. I think it'd be fun. So I think about it from time to time. I know I have a lot of work still to do here. With my mission to bring Torah to people here in Baltimore, but like I do think about it.
So speaking of Baltimore and like your work here at Bethel, what have been some challenges during the past couple of years that you encountered with how people approach Israel, how you had to maybe make them understand more about Israel?
So it's an interesting question. So I remember being a freshman in college, and my freshman year of college was in Norfolk, Virginia, in a place called Old Dominion University. And I had somehow ended up as president of the very small Hillel at Old Dominion University. And then we had come up with this idea. This was back in 2000, 2001. So this was right after like the Second Intifada had started. So it, and I, in my little Jewish bubble, didn't sort of realize the animosity towards Israel, even back then, from like college students. So the plan was to bring, I don't know if you remember, there was this organization, it was called the Jerusalem Connection. And USA and Jerusalem was like big. It was this...
I was not here back then.
The guy who ran it was like this he was an army general. I can't remember if he was a chaplain or not, but he was in the army and he retired, and his like whole thing was that he became basically this messianic Jew and wanted to move to Israel, and didn't realize that giving up Jesus was like a part of converting to Judaism. It's the whole thing. He wrote a whole book about it, and that's not the point. The point is he ran this organization called the Jerusalem Connection, and they had bought Bus 19, which was an Egged bus that had been blown up during the Intifada, and they would tour it around mostly college campuses, but other places around the country to bring awareness of the terrorism and stuff like that. Like I mean, they were a little crazy, but like the organizations, like their goals were good.
Yeah,
right?
the good intentions.
Good intentions, and like all of the crazy like religious stuff aside, like they were really like their mission was good to sort of bring awareness about what was going on in Israel. So we brought Bus 19 to campus, and I remember trying to like I had like all these talking points, and I was to talk to everybody, like the radio station, whatever. But then I remember it was just like a day. And I remember like during one of the and you could come and visit this bus. And I remember there was a group of before sorry, just to go back, before we even like brought the bus, the dean of students had like called me into his office and was like, "You're trying to stir up trouble." I was like, "I'm not trying to stir up any trouble. Like, this is just about awareness of like what's going on, in Israel." And he's like, "Well, you're gonna, cause problems with the Muslim students." Like, it's not my intention to cause any problems with the Muslim students. So he called in the president of like their version of Hillel. I don't know what they call it or whatever it was. But like he and I had to like sit at a table. I was like, I don't understand why I'm here. Like I was young at the time, and I don't think I really fully appreciated like, and this is still like a post 9/11 world. So
people were going like walking on eggshells.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, my dates are wrong. So in 2001, when 9/11 happened, I was still in high school. When I was in college, it was 04, 05. So we're still like, into the Second Intifada. So this post 9/11 world, and I hadn't realized like again, the animosity towards Israel because, that post 9/11 world was really like USA, USA. Remember, and everybody was like really gung ho about, not everybody, but many people were. So I was in this meeting with this, other Muslim student who I had never met before in my life, and I couldn't even tell you his name. I've completely forgotten almost everything about it. But I just remember like being in that meeting. I was like, why am I here? Like all I'm trying to do is bring awareness of terrorism. Like it was like, so the day of the thing comes, and I remember there's like a group of like Arab students, and they had a Palestinian flag, and they were posing in front of the picture with like in front of this burnt out bus carcass with like their thumbs up and like smiling and all happy about it.
Something's never changed.
Right. And so that was like, I think the moment that I realized that everybody is dumb and like doesn't understand like what is going on. And I think from that day forward, like my idea to sort of try and make people understand like what is actually happening also was like cemented into my mind. So, sometimes it's successful and sometimes it's not. I worked for a long time along many other non-Jewish people. And so it was hard because like the incident with the Mavi Marmara, the Turkish ship that eroded our relations with Turkey. And I remember like I had walked into work and then one of my coworkers was like, what did you guys do? And I was like, well, that's not really the right question to be asking. And, even back then, misinformation was still like a thing. It's much worse now.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's much
the social media
is so hard to try and
worse.
Do that. But ever since October 7th, first of all, I think many of us had to like cut out a lot of people from our lives, unfortunately, because, there really is no, anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism, which I think are really the same thing. Yeah. It's like a disease, and you can't really like. It's one of these like incurable diseases because it's so insidious because of the way it changes rapidly from time to time. It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, I would like to think that it's curable, but it's rare.
I'll say that. I agree.
There have been
some small cases where,
but it is rare.
But it's very insidious and it's very hard, especially when you have like a population of college kids in this sort of the world of academia now, which has become very ideological. Yeah. And it's really hard. It's really hard to like change a viewpoint on something when you've held it for so long and you've been told it by people of authority. You're like, well, this college professor says it, so it must be true. And that's really hard to,
That's the problem that when it comes to college professors and teachers, when they teach those things to the kids, and these are kids that are in very crucial stages in life and their brains are not fully developed yet.
Clearly not.
And they're like, oh, if he said that, it must be true.
I saw a term just the other day online called champagne socialists, which I thought was very funny because it's basically, I don't know if you heard about this, is a group of like celebrities that have sailed to Cuba to like support the people there. Meanwhile, these celebrities are staying in a 5-star hotel and the people of Cuba don't have electricity or internet or any other things because they're being oppressed by this communist government. But these champagne socialists are like, oh, you're so lucky that you get to live in this socialist paradise. And I'm like, where is the disconnect? Like, what is it? And then that's what it is. These kids are at this crucial stage of development. But like a lot of them are privileged children, like middle-class white kids who like have never set foot in the Middle East.
Their parents have thrown thousands and thousands of dollars.
And here they are protesting for jihad in the street. Like, what happened?
That's a good question. And I hope somebody investigates that deeply.
Yeah, it's like it blows my mind.
I know. So like you spoke about the Intifadas earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, because I don't think I've ever asked that question before, and I've talked about the Intifadas several times. What was the awareness within the Jewish community?
Oh, so I remember in 2001 when Ariel Sharon went to the Temple Mount, and everybody sort of says that this is like the reason why the Intifada happened. Well, no, it isn't. The Intifada happened because Islam is violent
because they want to
kill Jews. But Ariel Sharon went to the temple. This was, I think, before he was even prime minister. I think this was like kicking off his election.
That was,
and it was like a whole thing. And I remember seeing on TV, and I remember watching all of the things on TV. And so the first Intifada, of course, was in the 80s. So I was only born in 85. So
late 80s, early
90s,
yeah.
right? So I was really young at the time, and I don't think that I had really like but I remember the second Intifada because that's when all of the buses were all the suicide bombings were happening. And I remember like going to Israel in my 8th grade year, and of course the security concerns and like I had never been on a public bus in Israel until like 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, because it was such a thing and such a stigma.
I know. I had to go to work.
Right. And so like I didn't know.
Buses.
I mean, I was lucky because all those trips were organized, so we had our own bus, so it wasn't like a thing. And then I remember like I was going to visit, and I was like, well, how do I get anywhere? I was like, I guess I'll have to take the bus. And I remember being like, are we allowed to do this now? Like, because it was such a thing.
That's why I haven't been to Jerusalem in years. Because I have PTSD from the buses blowing up. So I will go
but I'll say this now: the Israeli bus system is fantastic. It is easy. It is clean. It is great. Easy to use. You guys still have Ravcom.
Some
right
drivers
there.
never stop. You have to run to the buses and wave at them, and they still don't stop. But that's fine. That's Israel.
Right. So like those things, and I remember in 01, I was a freshman in high school at the time. And I definitely remember like seeing all this stuff on TV, and we talked about it in all like our classes and our like classes.
Okay.
Like we talked about it because it was like a big deal, and that's when I think I started to really like they were really teaching us in earnest about Israeli politics. Like in middle school, like we knew there was a prime minister, we know there's the Knesset, but we didn't like have any idea how it worked.
Rules and
right. Okay. But starting in high school, when we started to realize that Ariel Sharon was kicking off this big election campaign and like all of this stuff that was happening, also post Rabin assassination.
Yeah. I guess that was a big turn.
Yeah, it was like really starting to pay attention to how these things work and how they, impact the fabric of Israeli society. It's fascinating to learn about.
Yeah, it's interesting because, living in Israel and going through all this stuff over there, we did not think anyone cared, anyone knew about anything that was happening.
Not only did we not, we knew, we talked about it, and we prayed. I remember at BT we would say Tehillim like all the time.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Like it was important for us.
Yeah, and it's good to hear.
As like a young person, like you can't really do much.
Right.
But like, praying for people I think actually is a huge deal, and you should do it. I think it's very important. I think it's very meaningful. And as a young person, like sometimes that's all the thing that you can do.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, what else are you going to do?
Right, I don't have any money.
Right. I mean, being like after October 7th and during the past few years, you've seen, we've seen a lot of tourists and people from, congregation organizations going to Israel and volunteering and helping and sending money and all these things, which was amazing to see. And that's why when you walk down the street as a tourist, they're like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, when we were there, like right after, it was, I guess, February, right after October 7th, and we were there for that, short mission. And I remember one of the people was, said to me, is like, are you okay? I was like, what did you just say to me? Like, what do you mean? He's like, well, we've been seeing a lot about anti-Semitism in America. Are you guys okay? And I was like, here you are, like right after October 7th, and you're asking me if I'm okay? Like, it was shocking, but also very typical for, Israel. And again, it just shows me like the smallness and the beauty and the achdut of the Jewish community around the world is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, but I think we've seen it more in the past
4
years.
For sure.
Because I think like for Israelis, we did not think about anything outside of Israel, like the Jewish community. For like everybody has their own lives over there. Nobody really knows what's happening. But these past couple of years have brought everybody together.
Yeah,
and it's nice. I like that.
Yeah. I also like. I mean, it's terrible because of the.
It's reason. There. Unfortunately, it had to happen.
But
this way,
it's in our DNA as Jews.
Yeah. So hopefully it continues beyond all of this mess that is going on right now. For sure,
I think it will.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, my 96-year-old grandma, who lives in Ashdod, and she sits in an apartment. She cannot go to the shelter now that they have rockets nonstop every day.
Yeah.
But every time I talk to her, she's like, "Are you guys okay over there? Like, what's going on? Are you safe? Be safe. Don't talk to anybody." Yeah, so that's just, it's crazy, but that's how it is. So speaking of what's happening now, and we talked about this before, like, what have you heard from people around here? What are their concerns, or like, what do they think?
Well, so I think, when it's kind of interesting in a way. So like, after October 7th, and, the way we've been supporting, and it's been really very good. But I think like, now when there's like an active war going on, people freak out a little more than usual. And I get, war is serious. Yeah. And it's scary. But at the same time, like I would get on a plane to Israel tomorrow if I could. Like I wouldn't. And people outside of the Jewish community look at you and they're like, what?
Yeah, I told
But they
someone,
don't
like, I would go
understand.
and sit in the shelter now. Like,
Right.
I feel bad that I don't...
Like, I feel bad that
yeah.
I'm not there to be
Yeah.
with them in their time of crisis. And you know, and people look at you like that they don't know because they don't have a connection to a place like we do.
Right.
And so I don't feel personally, you know, like Israel is an unsafe place to be. And I understand, of course, the war is serious and, you know, things are happening and, you know, it's scary. It's a scary time, but that's all the more reason why we should continue to give our full support.
Right. And, you know, people say a lot of times that they feel safer in Israel being Jewish than anywhere
without
outside
question.
of Israel. Yeah.
You know, sometimes, you know, I'll go somewhere and I wear a kippah all the time. So I always get a little like shifty eyed whenever I go. And it was like, is this going to be the day or am I going to be okay in this area? I don't ever think about that in Israel.
So how has that been for you, like, since October 7th?
Honestly, like I one person in a parking lot yelled at me from like across the parking lot.
Oh.
So I like ignored. I was like, okay, whatever.
What did they yell at you?
They said something like "Free Palestine" and like something about the Jews.
Oh, they just did that. They just freed Palestine.
Right, or whatever. And like people sometimes I can see them sort of like staring and like I wonder what like they're thinking like. Are they thinking like, oh, that poor man, or like dirty Jew? Like, you know, you never know.
You never know, right?
And so you just have to be. I guess my awareness has been a little more heightened than it normally would. But
so
like at the same
people's
time,
looks.
like I'm not taking off the kippah. I'm not putting on the hat. Like that's not me.
No.
I'm going to continue to be me. And you know, other people have a problem with it and want to yell "Free Palestine" at me in a parking lot. Okay, well, I'm sure you feel better. And now Palestine is
yeah,
free.
right. Let it out, buddy.
Right?
Let it out. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can't hide ourselves as much as
we cannot.
It can be very difficult sometimes. It can be dangerous sometimes.
Sure.
But if we hide ourselves, then
it doesn't do anybody any good.
No.
And like it's not a good thing to do that.
No.
You know?
So what was like? So I mean, you visited multiple times already the past couple of years. What was like the most meaningful encounter that you had?
It's an interesting question. So that mission we took in February, right after October 7th, was such a surreal experience. Like it was not like any other Israel trip I've ever been on.
No, it's very different.
You know, and having been since then, you know, those trips have been a little more normal, whatever that means. But that trip will always exist sort of in a bubble for me because it was such a different.
Yeah.
And the people I met on that trip, I still think about them all the time, and you know, meeting these people who are running these, you know, war rooms and these, you know, organizations that collect things to help people who need them, and just, you know, all of the people that we met on that trip were with the exception of one, where it was incredible. Like it was really, really incredible. And that to me, I think was, you know, incredibly meaningful, but also like the daily regular people of Israel are also like, it's so important. And, you know, so you go to visit like my friend Sarah, the Cantor King's daughter, you know, and she's living in Israel and, you know, that's her life. And, you know, we're good friends and, you know, I think about how she's doing all the time. You know, we talk and, you know, I just, you know, those things are also meaningful.
Yeah, they are meaningful. I mean, you know, my family, they had rockets falling near their houses recently. My dad had to hide under a tree.
Well, that's because he doesn't go to the shelter.
No, he went for the one time that he tried to go to the shelter. On his way to the shelter, there was a giant explosion, and he saw the rocket falling straight into a soccer field right next to his house, and he had to duck under a tree because he couldn't make it to the shelter.
Did he tell you? I imagine him saying, and this is why I don't go to the shelter.
No, and I told him, like, you see, this is where you need a mamad inside your house.
Right.
But he's like, no, I've been trying for years. It's not happening. He did try to get some license, whatever. But yeah, he tried. But he did try to go to the shelter multiple times. And he did go, actually, this past few days.
All right.
But, I mean, those rockets can obliterate an entire house in a second.
We've seen it. Yeah, you've seen it.
We've seen it too many times. And, you know, what happened in Arad, and also, you know, with those buildings and over 100 people injured.
I mean, it's a war. Dead. It's war. It's serious. Like, you know.
So this is dangerous.
It's dangerous.
And you have to go to the shelter.
But you have to go to the shelter. But also, again, I want to reiterate that we have to be supportive. You know, all of these anti-war people that are on TV right now don't know anything about anything. And it's driving me crazy. And again, also, heartfelt support for the people of Iran,
Yeah.
who want to throw off the shackles of of Islamic tyranny.
Hmm.
And I hope that, this war will be successful and we'll be able to do that and we can live in peace together the way we were always meant to.
Yeah, and a lot of Israelis are saying that they would sit in the shelter for the next however many months or whatever it takes for the Iranians to be free from, those terrorists.
Yeah, but just ask a privileged college kid.
Yeah, they know everything. Ask TikTok. They'll tell you.
Right. Anybody who supports the Ayatollah doesn't deserve to be taken seriously.
No, definitely not.
I'm not going to miss it.
Yeah, no. So, what is so out of all the places you've been to Israel, I'm sure there's one place that you feel like when you go there, you feel like you're at home, or like, this is my safe space, this is my quiet, like, this is my place. I love going there. I'm going to be there every single time. What is that place for you?
So, okay, so it's sort of like a double answer. So the real answer, of course, is Jerusalem. Whenever I set foot in the city of Jerusalem, I just always feel so good. I feel a comfort. I feel at home. I feel a deep spiritual connection. Like, it's very powerful for me. And spend time at the Kotel and all these holy places in Jerusalem is like the best. But also, every visit of mine to Israel always includes a day at Har Herzl. And it's such a special place for so many reasons. But to spend serious sacred time there is so important to me. Every trip, it's one day I have to take to. Is
there like a specific spot in that?
So I have a route. Like I go. So I have a route. Like, I spend my first stop immediately is to visit Zev Jabotinsky, who is like my Zionist hero, my personal Zionist hero. And then I go to like the government area and I visit all the prime ministers and presidents and all of those people. And then I go to visit some of the people that I know that are buried at Har Herzl, people from camp that I went to camp with, and then other sort of like famous people throughout the time. And so I have a little like route that I take, but I always start and end my visit at Jabotinsky, and we sit quietly and have a nice little chat. And
That's nice.
Yeah.
So if anybody came to you with advice, they were going to Israel for the very first time in their lives, what would you recommend them?
Oh, that's like asking a parent to choose a favorite child.
I know, but like a first timer.
A first timer?
Yeah.
Okay, well, like, all right, so I would, this is going to be controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, skip Tel Aviv. You don't need to.
Oh, okay, I guess it depends.
So for me, like, I don't get really a lot out of it, to be honest with you. The only thing I love in Tel Aviv is Independence Hall. I love Independence Hall. But it's been closed for like a number of years, so you can't even like, whatever. But so skip Tel Aviv.
Go to the beach.
I'm not a beach person.
I know.
Right, so I'm not a beach person.
Just to walk on the boardwalk and see the, I don't know.
Yeah. You can skip the Dead Sea, the Tel Aviv. You can skip the Dead Sea too.
Kind of, especially in the summer.
Right. But you head straight to Jerusalem, and like your first stop should be the Kotel. Like it's like such a magical moment, like for people who have never been, and like especially if you go early in the morning, when like the sun is rising over the hills and like the stone starts to turn like that pink color.
Oh.
It's so beautiful, and it's such like a magical moment to sort of be there and be sort of embraced by all of the beauty, the history, the spirituality that sort of surrounds this holy city. It's like nothing else. Like, skip Tel Aviv, go straight to Jerusalem. And there's also like a lot what to see in Jerusalem. Beautiful historical holy sites, important states for like the state. Visit the Knesset, it's a great tour. The new Knesset Museum, spectacular. Yad Vashem, of course. Like, all of these places are like it's such a interweaving of like all the things into this central location. Skip Tel Aviv, go straight to Jerusalem. That's what I would say.
Yes, whatever you do, just go to Israel.
Yes, that's true too. And if you're right,
yeah.
So if you're gonna have to go to Tel Aviv, fine, go to Tel Aviv.
Fine,
but
like, do what you will, but go to Israel.
Go to Israel, go to Jerusalem, go up north, go down south, go everywhere you can, because the land is magical. It's ours. We have a connection to it.
Yeah.
Touch it, be with it, embrace yourself in it. It's totally worth it.
And lastly, before we go, what is your message to the Jewish community in the diaspora and with relation to Israel?
So I would say let's continue to support our homeland, continue to support our troops, continue to support each other. No time is more critical than now to really embody the value of achdut, unity, because everybody, right? It seems like everybody is against us, right? And we can only really, really rely on ourselves to protect each other and to support each other. And there's nothing more important than that. So let's forget about like the things that divide us and think about the things that unify us, because there's so much more of that in the Jewish community, and there's so many different types of Jews, but let's all come together under that, umbrella, that achdut, and really just be there for each other.
That's a great message. And that's it for today. This is going to be our last episode before Passover, and we're going to take a little spring break. So Chag Sameach, everybody.
Chag Sameach.
Yes, and thank you, Ben, for joining me today.
Thank you.
And thank you all for listening. Until next time.